What a way to talk to people this has become. Phone calls. I wish I could learn how to record a phone call. I had a decent one today. You ever wanted to live forever? I haven't. I don't understand the desire to live forever. Things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I feel like the reason that the boomers don't have that and that they want to live for forever is like a type of a mind sickness that me being 36 growing up in the whatever, it's 2025, it's like a warning because of all, look at all the damage that they've done. You know, the economy is destroyed because of them. Inflation's screwed up. They didn't have the balls to stand up for themselves after World War II with their parents fighting and dying for American ideals, and now we're implementing technology that just is completely devoid of any sort of soul, and it's all with the promise of living for forever, because that seems to be the one thing that they all kind of agree on. They don't want to quit. They want to keep going. I mean, I kind of want to keep going too when things are going great. But in the back of your mind, it's always like, well, it might be summer now, but winter's in 6 months. So you gotta like mentally know that. And when you accept it, you're accepting death in a sort of a way. You're accepting that one day I'm gonna die. No one lives forever. No one gets out of here alive. And I feel like that's sort of like a liberating but also terrifying notion that we're all dying someday. The atheists will say, well, that's why you gotta yuck it up and enjoy yourself while this lasts. And the other side, the more moral and pragmatic side, says, well, I'm creating a legacy for myself here, but I don't want to be tried and found wanting for things that I've done that I wish I couldn't have done, wish I could take back. And so I feel like in that last moment of dying, that's probably the worst feeling ever, is thinking about the things that you wish you could have changed. And I think that the boomers' idea behind kind of like wanting to live forever is the denial that what they've done carries a consequence with it. It's almost like what we were talking about today, is it's their obsession with living for forever is the it's to like put off being held accountable to God. Which is a really funny concept. It to think that people's desire to live for forever is because they don't want to meet their maker on Judgment Day and be held accountable for their actions. And what a horrible way to live. If that's true, I feel bad for them people, because that means that they must have been a part of something pretty heinous. I mean, we all kind of like get the chance. I think, people have been talking a lot about how life is a proving ground. Like, this is the proving ground for the next phase of our existence. And to like stand by your contradictions to the point of death is, in a way, it's the message of Christ, because Christ came. He was unashamedly the Son of God. That was his statement and his message, that no one comes to the Father except through me. And when they told him that he better stop talking like that and stop saying those things, he doubled down and said, no, it's true. And ultimately, I accept your punishment because I'm blameless before my Father who is in heaven. So when they were going to kill him, he was sitting in the garden, and the moment of imminent doom, he knew that it was going to happen, and he begged out to God the Father to take it away from him, to find some other way. And in a way, that's kind of like where we are culturally. The boomers are saying, please take this away from us. We don't want to go. We want to stay. We want things to be great. We want to live in a world of spandex pants and space conquest, Star Trek stuff. And they won't relinquish their perceived current status. And they'll use any excuse in the book to to justify that emotional response to something as basic as the inevitable, which is death. I just think that that's rich. And if that's true, which I don't know if it is or not, who's to say if it's true or not? Maybe they just want to live forever because they see like that's the only way that humanity can continue to progress forward into the future, is if we somehow figure out a way to make a human being's existence last for forever in the third dimension here on Earth. I don't see how that could ever be the case, because a couple of things. Human beings we all have our quirks, and we're all flawed. A beautiful picture was painted when the guy, I can't remember who it was. I wish I had that information. Maybe someone, if you see this video, you can tell me who it was. But the Earth is tilted on an axis, and it's off by a certain degree, true north, magnetic north. And that is in relationship to the ecliptic plane and where the planets sit. We know that the Earth is skewed. It's not sitting straight up and down, it's on an angle. And that difference of an angle between being perceived perfect, which would be straight up and down, is basically the spiral of the Fibonacci sequence, and that every single thing on the Earth, including us and our own perception, is skewed by just this little, whatever degree it was, 13 degrees, fucking, I don't know what it is, but it's off by just so that things perceptually are not perfect. And that's the conundrum that human beings have, is like we're always trying to make up and account for that, because something inside of us determined that straight up and down is perfect and that the angle is skewed. But who's to say that skew is not perfect in and of itself, and that basically you can't have dichotomies. You can't have life, you can't have culture, you can't have civilization, you can't have human existence in the way that we currently understand it to be, until things are, so, and more so, who's to say that the desire to live for forever comes from the positioning of so instead of understanding time as like a linear thing, you would understand time as a sort of a corkscrew, and that in that circular reasoning, it's like a circle. So every time human beings living on the planet get back to a certain degree in the circle of thought, like the boomers were in, that the desire to live for forever is just an echo from time past, when there was a group of people that had lived life very lavishly and watched as society expanded and developed and wanted to live forever. That desire, the impulse to live for forever is just an echo of that time, and it's been like that all throughout history. And then the millennial generation, which is what I am, born in 89, I don't have that, in that I want the good times to last, but I know that I would not want to live like this for forever. It's not in my desires. That I don't have that desire to live for forever on the third dimensional plane of existence in this state. I'd like for something to progress and for us to move on to some other way, some other modality, if you want to call it that, some way of that we can understand deeper the nature of reality and see lies for what they are on a grander scale always. And that doesn't come from anything but, I think, like God, essentially. So when God reveals himself to us, we have revelations of understanding, and what we do with that information dictates to our reality as to how we live our lives. And so if you're in a perpetual state of suffering and you're carrying burdens that bring your consciousness to a point of anger, rage, or just helplessness and feeling empathetic, overly empathetic all the time. That, to me, that can't be helpful either. We have to understand stuff for what it is, but we can't be crippled and paralyzed by it. And we have to have faith that whatever it is that we're doing currently is the way that it needs to be. God gave us free will because ultimately, if you watch something grow, you know, you want to prune a tree, but you want to watch it develop and grow. You want to see it explode and produce fruit. You don't want to go in there when it's a sapling and start snipping away at it. Kind of like what they did to Michael Jackson. His father did to him. Just terrible guy that beat the living daylights out of that poor kid. And he didn't have any time to develop and grow. It was constant. So I think that what's happening right now culturally is that people are being shown the folly of their ways, and that's for like a number of different reasons, astrological reasons too. We're all being kind of shown the folly of our own ways, and how we respond to that is going to either make or break us. And it's going to either turn our brains on to continue to move forward, but also fix the mistakes of the past and do our diligence to not repeat them so we can all keep progressing forwards. Or it puts you into a sort of catatonic state where everything, you don't want to do anything at all because of the fact that you tried your best the last time and it didn't work out. Heck, everyone knows that's one of the worst feelings of all times. But we can't be crippled by our mistakes of the past, and that's what Christ came to deliver us from. That the shame of sin. We know what sin is, whether or not we consciously play into its suits and trappings is our choice, our free will. But throughout the scriptures, even people make mistakes and they sin against themselves and against God, and God will find a way to spin it around, to make lessons, to change people, to create a world where people are happy and full of joy and love, and not stricken by, emptiness and sadness and grief. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts for now. I just wanted to share that.